They expect, Japanese people, there is no nation on earth more prepared for what happened, but at the same time, everything that they had learned in books as far as the tsunami went, they expect anywhere between 60 and 90 minutes for the tsunami to hit. It hit in 9 minutes. There's nothing you can do. Even if you knew, hey, you got 9 minutes to get out of here, you're not going to be able to escape it. There's just nothing you're going to be able to do. And that's the thing that was frightening.
We're back with more Gang of Four on a Friday morning after we head into the newsroom with Liz on KTSA. Beardless now, no beard, clean shaven. We'll probably have a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow by the time our show is over. And also, Trish DeBerry-Mejia is clean shaven.
I was going to say, I don't
no beard at all. Yes, she's. But look, let's talk about Libya now. We were just talking about Muammar Gaddafi off the air. He declares a ceasefire and continues to shell his own cities. France. This is like bizarro universe to me. France is leading the international coalition that's either going to establish a no-fly zone or bomb Libyan forces. I mean, we're in like the fifth dimension here now.
They've always been pacifists, so it's yeah, you're right. It's kind of crazy.
When you can't catch up to France on the international scene, you've got a problem.
We've got a problem. This president, our president, has been. We know his brackets, but I don't know where he stands on anything else.
But Chad, maybe a lot of people feel the same way. Maybe they think, hey, we're tired of the world being the world's policeman. Let somebody else do it.
I'm fine with not being the world's policeman, but we need to get involved with, there are some things we should be involved with, and we're watching this, people are worried about this maybe becoming the new Darfur, and there's where we should be involved. Places like that where, it's not even just this, but it's about Japan. It's a lot of places. It's just, he seems not to, he's a day late on everything. Oh, there was an earthquake? Well, that sucks. Where's Japan? I've been there, right? I mean, that's the way I feel about him sometimes.
Joaquin Castro, do you think the president's been indecisive, or do you think this is the course of action he's decided on to not have America be a part of the response to this?
Well, I mean, I think, first of all, I think he's been very active both on international and domestic issues. But with respect to Libya, I think he has been very aware and very active on the situation. But he also understands that the United States is not... It does not exist in the world to control what happens in other countries. I mean, this was an organic uprising by the people, and you have to respect that. You have to respect what's going on in that nation. I think he stepped in and made the decision to step in with the United States and the United Nations when it became clear that the controlling regime with Gaddafi was getting very brutal. And now, I mean, I think you see the fruits of that. Gaddafi has said that they're going to basically have a ceasefire. So he's not going to move in on his people.
Well, he said it, but he's not doing it.
Yeah, well, and we're mobilizing also, with other partners in the world. So no, I think the president's been very involved. You saw what happened in Egypt. The people there, without U.S. intervention, finally accomplished the freedom and the democracy that they were seeking. It's happening in other parts of the Middle East. And so no, I mean, I think that, the United States sometimes can hurt those efforts if they get themselves involved in what's going on.
Yeah, what about the idea, this I guess this is the Obama doctrine, that you don't want American fingerprints on these uprisings because then they somehow don't appear organic or legitimate. Right. Is this the natural outgrowth of people being disillusioned about Iraq and Afghanistan? We don't want to get in there and own the thing. Let the people in those countries do it, and we'll just be here to support them when and if they do.
Well, the problem is we don't want to be there and own it, but then you've got the people who are fighting against Gaddafi, and they've got a gun while he's got planes, and they're saying, God, please help us. Where are you? This is what you're waiting for.
So what form should the help have taken?
I think we should have supplied them with weapons. I think the UN needs to get involved, and I think the UN will get involved. But again, I think the UN couldn't break up a cookie fight at a Girl Scout convention, so it really doesn't matter what the UN does.
It's a little late, too, I mean, to be coming to the fight now.
Yeah, and that's what they do. The UN, they'll put sanctions on, and they'll wait till it gets past the point of no return. Then they jump in, and then we've got a bunch of guys in blue helmets running around watching people get slaughtered, but at least documenting it. And I just think it's a little too late.
Why do we, I understand building coalitions and all that, but doesn't everybody in this room know that a UN no-fly zone or a UN action is going to be mostly a U.S. Action? So why aren't we at least driving, or at least leading, or at least indicating to the UN, here's what we think should be done, and you're welcome to join in? I mean, it's very disingenuous, it seems to me, Trish, to pretend that we're just one member of the United Nations.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the UN over the past few years has lost a lot of credibility. I mean, they're weak. I mean, there's no question. They're really, really weak. And they usually wait for the U.S. to run in and take some action. I think in this case, Jack, to your point, I do think Iraq, I think Afghanistan comes into play. We've talked on the show before about the fact that Afghanistan, there's no exit strategy associated with it. It has become an occupation. And I think people are very disillusioned with that. We're still losing lives over in Iraq. And so maybe the president has taken sort of a more measured tone with this, because we can't run to the rescue of everybody. We can't fight wars on every single front. Who's to say there's not something going on behind the scenes with the Secret Service, the CIA, what have you, that we don't really know about? But you're also dealing with a crazy person. I mean, he's so sort of, the tactic that we don't negotiate with terrorists. I don't know if Obama really wants to engage a crazy person, because I don't think you're going to get anything accomplished.
All right. Does anybody have the feeling, though, that we're not sending a very clear message about where we stand in these kinds of uprisings? I mean, we didn't fight in Eastern Europe. We didn't supply arms to Eastern Europe. We didn't invade Eastern Europe. We didn't bomb Eastern Europe. But when those countries were starting to stand up to the Soviet Union, their overlords in the 1980s, we made it very clear that when they got there, we would be waiting for them, and we were on their side, and we used our embassies as sort of freedom houses or outposts of freedom in places like Hungary and Czechoslovakia, so that when those non-communist regimes took over, they had very warm feelings toward the United States. They knew that we were their allies. They, to this day, have proven to be very good allies, places like Poland. Would it not have been possible to plant those kinds of seeds at a time like this, where you don't even fire a shot, but you let it be known we're going to stand on the right side of this?
Well, but I think that we're laying the groundwork for that now. I mean, you saw yesterday Secretary of State Clinton was in Egypt, walking in the square where all the protesters were. You're right. Look, there's a lot of legwork.
I think Hillary gets it. I don't know if Barack Obama gets it.
Well, I think he does. I think that, we're laying the groundwork for it now, because the truth is those countries could go either way. You could have a governing majority that's very anti-Western, anti-U.S., or you could ingratiate yourself to the people and hopefully produce a government that is an ally of ours. I think part of the challenge for the United States also in getting involved is that these nations have been essentially, I don't want to say neutral to us, but it's kind of the devil that you know often. And we've kind of known where they are. Mm-hmm. They're not actively hostile towards us. You
don't sound like a young idealistic Democrat when you say that. Let's deal with the devil we know. I don't know. That doesn't have a JFK ring to it. Joaquin Castro.
I think that.
Look, what about this? President the other day said Gaddafi's on the wrong side of history. Almost like saying, the good guys will win inevitably. That isn't true. Nobody knows what history is going to bring us here. Shouldn't America help make that history, not just wait to see how it turns out?
Well, sometimes
you sound almost like you want to, play all sides so that we can deal with whoever emerges.
Well, no, and I think that the United States is doing that, and I think the United Nations is doing that now. Now, I think what we're having a debate about is whether it's happened, too late, or whether they should have done it a week or two ago. And that's a tough call, and I don't think there's an exact scientific answer. But I think the United States, with all of its information, has made the best decision at this point to intervene, and the United Nations the same thing. And it's not just us. I mean, the vote was 10-0 with 5 abstentions. So it seems like the rest of the world, at least the major powers, on the same page.
All right, from Muammar Gaddafi to Dan Ramos, the
wow.
The chairman of the Bexar County Democratic Party. Express News yesterday calling on him to resign. He says he will not. And our 550 Live reporter, Joey Palacios, is here. Joey, you're one of the many reporters who've had the pleasure of interviewing Dan Ramos.
Pleasure is an interesting word, but okay.
So tell me what you were asking him about when you were taping an interview with him.
Well, I wanted to get his side of the the interview with the Current, try to get his comments and ask them, is this what he really meant? Because he's disputing a lot of the things in there. In fact, right now he's actually planning on taking legal action against the Current. Could be suing.
He's saying he did not describe gay Democrats, Stonewall Democrats, as termites.
No, he said that. He actually said, yes, I called them termites. Yeah, he actually said that.
That they're like the Nazi Party, 90% white, blue-eyed, and Anglo.
So he said, when relating to the Nazi Party, and I had to ask him a couple of times to get his exact meaning, what he said was he likens their ideology and their political strategy to that of the Nazi Party.
Oh, so that's not so bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he didn't say they were like them. He did say that he likens
It's a good
their.
thing he qualified that statement. Because it makes it a lot better.
So you're talking to him, and I know how you work. You're a reporter. You're very neutral. You're very straight down the middle. What happened?
Well, first let me just I'll line it up. I was asking questions on the race issue, and he gives me this soundbite right here. Let me see if I can find it exactly to lead up to it. And it's the shorter soundbite that I had sent you, Don. And he says that he doesn't believe that race should play an issue within the democratic society and the party.
Mexicans, African American, or any other race, it does not have a place in the democratic society because they use their ethnicity or their race to get their way.
Now that was the quote that he gave us, and that was in response to a question I asked, relating to African Americans and the quote that was in the Current. And he said the Current took it out. It was took it out of place. It was a misunderstanding, and he actually called the reporter in another piece of audio in the full interview that it says he calls the reporter from the Current an idiot on tape.
Okay.
And then he also says that he credits African Americans. He gives them 100% credit for bringing all equality laws. And then there's this longer piece of audio, and it ends rather offensively.
I want to get to the part where he insults you.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to right now. So
That is the fun part.
So this is the part, where he starts explaining a little bit more. And as I want to get more information about that first quote that he gave me, the one we just played about, democratic society and different races within it, as I'm talking to him about that, I'm trying to get more. This is what happens, but this comes before I ask that question, and the question is in there.
I don't believe any race ought to use Mexican. I'm a Mexican. Cannot go over there and say, hey, I want this because I'm Mexican. I want this because Mexicans should be treated like the white. That's my analogy. African Americans can get what they're looking for if they can prove that they have not been served as well or equal to the white. So what's wrong with that? But anyways, I think I've given you enough information.
Well, sir, let me just ask to make sure that I have that quote that you gave me correct. You're saying that Mexicans and African Americans and the other race that you mentioned have no place in the Democratic Party or in Democratic?
No, I didn't say that. This is the end of the conversation.
Well, I mean, I'm just backing
you.
I'm just backing.
Yeah, so that's.
So he said he loved you.
Yeah.
You can pick your favorite expletive if you want, but it was the big one. It began with the.
He told Joey to do something to himself that probably Joey can't do. I would guess. But you were just trying to verify the quote.
And I was trying to get that, and I did say, the exact quote that he said, they do not belong in a democratic society. I said, they belong. I said I was trying to clarify that I thought he had said they don't belong in the Democratic Party.
Right.
But I tried to clarify that, and then that's
society, not
yeah,
party.
yeah, and I tried to clarify that before he cut me off, and then that was the last piece of audio that you just heard.
Joe, you can take the rest of the day off now.
So are you guys hanging out later?
You can get over the trauma. Yeah. Yeah, they're going to watch the UTSA game together. Look, is this guy, should this guy step down? Is he just plain spoken? Is he too entertaining? I mean, I want to keep him around, but that's just because I'm doing a talk show.
He has a soundbite waiting to happen.
I know. I don't want this to, I'm not ready to let go of this yet. It's the fun has only just begun.
Everything is a misquote. Even the stuff that he's trying not to be offensive, it sounds offensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting there listening going, is this guy...
Do you all think this is offensive, what he's saying?
No,
It's hugely offensive.
Okay.
I'm going to offer up some media training.
Some people are saying, well, you know what? A lot of people think it, they just don't say it.
I say it, but you know that.
Well, but I think that, first of all, I think he should resign. There's no place for those comments or for a leader in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party who voices those opinions. Whether people think that and just don't say it, well, if they do, they shouldn't be the leader of the Democratic Party.
How does somebody like this become the leader?